Sarah with Hello Muffin. I'm back with another video. This video is going to be my budget breakdown video. I decided to break up the mock budget and my budget breakdown into two separate videos. The other video that I uploaded goes over my boyfriend's budget, which is a weekly goal-based budget versus like an income-based budget. And I just go over how I break down all of the expenses and how I came up with his weekly goal, which can easily be replaced with a paycheck that you would get from an employer. But I kind of reversed his budget breakdown compared to how you would do it if you get a paycheck from an employer. He had a goal amount that he has to make versus a set amount of money that you have to budget with. So it's a little bit different, but you can kind of extrapolate the same idea of just doing everything in reverse. But this budget video is going to be my budget breakdown. So I'm going to go over how I do my budget inside Airtable, which I explained in his budgeting video. If you need some training on it, or if you're interested in the app itself, I go over a lot of the features over in the mock budget video. So I would encourage you to check that out. But this video is going to be about my budget, and this is available as a template in Airtable, which I went over again in that mock budget video. This does have a slight change. I did do that video before I had made some changes to my personal budget, but it was just this field mostly, which is just a drop down single select field, and all I did was categorize my expenses based on whether or not they're a sinking fund, a cash envelope, or a digital expense. And I'll go over that in a minute, why I need those categories for my type of budget system. You might not need this. You might want to put line items for all of your cash envelopes. Mine is just a couple items, and you might want to do separate line items for your sinking funds. Mine is just a bucket fund here, and then I use a separate sheet to track the breakdown of this $300, because to me this $300 is like fixed and really unchanging versus the actual funds that I fund with this $300 might fluctuate because I'm still getting used to the cash envelope system. So this is the way that I chose to do it, just to make it easier on myself for now. In the future, I might break these out into individual line items, like these expenses are all broken out. I might do that with this, but for now, I've decided to just leave it as one lump sum here. But anyway, let's just jump right into it. So this is my categorized view for my budget breakdown. I have it grouped by category, and that's what I have in this field here. So I have my debts, I have my auto expenses, which is just gas, and I do one expense line for each paycheck. So I put $20 in my gas cash envelope each paycheck, so I have that in here twice. So it's $40 total a month. Then I have my subscription services, which I believe are all active right now. Disney Movie Club is just, I have to decline it every month. I leave it in here to remind myself. It's not really active. I don't get charged for it unless I forget to decline, or like they do so often, I decline and they send me the video anyway. But I just leave it here more as a reminder. But these are all my subscriptions, and yes, there are quite a few. I have Adobe Creative Cloud. That's for my sticker business. I have Dropbox, which I keep all of my data in because I actually don't have a computer. I have a computer that it's like a work computer, but I don't have like a personal computer. So all of my data that I've ever had is on Dropbox. So for $10, really, that's not that horrible for me. Netflix and Hulu. I think Netflix is 11 or 10, and Hulu is 6. I'm splitting it with my sister. And then I have a Patreon account. Quip, I went over that in my mock budget. That's my toothbrush subscription. it goes out every 3 months, but each month it gets budgeted $7. So it's $20 every 3 months. So on the third month will be the rest of that. It's basically like a digital cash envelope. It's just because it's an automatic payment. I don't bother pulling it out of the bank and putting it back in the bank. I have USAA, and they do not have branches by me, so I have a lot of trouble depositing cash. So anything that's a digital expense stays in my account, and I'll go over that in a minute. So I have Scentbird, which I love. I think there's a referral link in the description box below. If you're interested, you get a free perfume if you sign up. I get this every month, and it's worth the $15 to me. I love the perfumes. I use them all the time. It doesn't really bother me. That is $15. That's something that I could cut out if I needed to, but it's worth it to me. Sephora Play, same thing. It's $10 a month, and I get some awesome little makeup samples, so this doesn't bother me. Skillshare, this is like online classes. If you've ever taken an online class from lynda.com or something similar, it's a lot of people just teaching creative classes or business classes or pretty much anything you can imagine. It's $15 a month. I do have a referral link down in the description box. I believe you get 2 or 3 months for free if you sign up using my link. It is a really nice service. I try to push myself to do 1 class a week. I've been falling behind, but it's something that I'm going to have to put in my planner because I really like the Skillshare service, and I like to get my money's worth. This is just a subscription for stock art and things like that. Spotify, and then Beachbody On Demand. It's another quarterly charge, so that just saves up and then goes out every quarter. These are all my utilities. I don't really need to go over all of those. My half of rent. Food, I do the same thing. It's like these are my cash envelopes. They go, once per paycheck. I put $100 in each one. And then this is my extra category. So these are things that are extra. They're not really necessary for like living. Like I need food to live. I don't need a spend budget to live. I mean, it's nice, but I don't need it. So I just labeled it extra. But I have 2 spend budgets. I have a digital spend budget, and I have a cash envelope spend budget. I label this one separately, but I leave it as a cash envelope because I have 2 accounts inside my USAA account. I have a bills checking account, and I have a spend checking account, and then I have a savings account. So every paycheck, I deposit a specific amount of money into my bills account, and I don't touch that money. That money stays there for all of these bills that you see here. And then the rest of the money goes into my spend account, which is not really a spend account anymore since I started the cash envelope system. But we'll just say it's not my bills account, it's my extras account. So then what I do is I withdraw all the cash that I need for my cash envelopes from that account. But I leave this $100 in there, so I have some digital dollars to spend online, or if something happens and I need to transfer money to my boyfriend, I have like digital money in my account. So that's why I count it as a cash envelope, because it's not an expense. It's not necessarily a bill. It's not a sinking fund. It's spend money that I want to leave. It's not a cash envelope, but it's like a digital cash envelope. So I just leave that in there, and I have it categorized over here just to make my life easier. So these are my insurances. So how I budget is let me go to my all expenses sheet here. And I have these, I think this is the same sheet I was just in. Yep, sorry. I'm tired. It's late again. I'm videoing late. My boyfriend was home. He normally works at night, and I really wanted to film this video, and he was wanting to watch the football game that was on, and I kept pushing him to leave because I'm not used to filming in front of another person. So I was like, please get out of here so I can film my video. So now it's late. But anyway, So the way that I do this is I add up all of my expenses and then I divide it by 2 because I get paid twice in a month. Um, I, let's see, main view. Yeah, so it's going to close that. So on the 15th, I need to have $2,451, and on the 31st, I need to have $1,978 out of this paycheck that's on the end of the month, and this is the second paycheck I get every month. I kind of count this as my first paycheck of each month because I'm literally getting it the last day of the month prior, and all of the money is being used for the next month. So if I get paid October 31st, I count that as November's first paycheck. So this paycheck is lighter than this paycheck, and in order to kind of balance out how much money I was having all at once, it made more sense to me to add up all of my bills and then divide it in 2. So that number, I believe it's $1,600, gets deposited into my bills account. And without my cash envelopes for this paycheck, let me filter them out. So expense category is none of sinking fund or cash envelope. So you can see here $1,358 and $1,831. So if you add these up and then divide them by 2, it's around $1,600. I think I just messed with it so it's not quite the same. I'm going to have to go back and adjust it. But $1,600 goes into my bills account on the 31st. And then that extra money, the extra $250, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly, just sits in there until I need it for the bills in the second half of the month. So I'm essentially just breaking up the liabilities that I have for the month because the bottom is so much heavier in bills. It just makes more sense to me that way, because I have this lighter. It's not, it's $500 difference that I owe in bills. So it just makes it easier on me. I don't have to scramble the second paycheck of the month wondering if I'm going to have enough money to cover everything. I just float the extra money from here, and it totally saves me time, frustration. It just makes it so that each paycheck is exactly the same. I can take out the same amount of money for my sinking funds. I can take out the same amount of money for spending. It just makes my life so much easier. So that's how I do my budget. I just add up these 2 numbers and divide them by 2. And then that's how much money I set aside for my digital expenses. I put them in the bills account. I don't touch them. The rest of the money goes to my spend, like I said before. So if you want a more in-depth view on this Airtable tracker, definitely check out that other video, like I said in the beginning here. I'm not going to go into these other tabs just because I go over them in the mock budget video, so there's no real reason for me to go over them again. I would just encourage you to check that out over there on that video. I'll try to put a link somewhere on this video so that you can go check that out if you're interested. So the next thing I want to go over is the snowball tracker sheet that I had mentioned in my Frankenplan budget book setup. That is going to be at a website called undebt.it, and that is a free service. The link is right here, undebt.it. So when you first log in, you're going to see this undebt.it dashboard, and you're going to see all of your debts. So now these are the debts that I've loaded in to the system, and I only added an interest rate. I just kind of guessed. I don't think this was my actual interest rate. I just put something in here because I wanted to kind of do a different debt snowball table. I wanted this to be first because I know that this has a higher interest rate compared to my student loans, which I think the highest one is at, I think Wells Fargo is at like 10% or something, but these are at like 3%. So I wanted to pay this off first. So if you have to put in all of your debts. I believe you have to go to My Debt Accounts, and you would click Add New Debt, and then you can go to your account list if you ever want to change something. I just started fresh from October, so that's why these all say that I have only 4% paid off. I just started fresh. There was one thing that I wanted to mark that I had already made payments on, just because I wanted to keep track in the future for how many payments I had left, but that was about it. That's why this says 4% paid off. It's definitely more than that, but I couldn't be bothered to go look up how much everything was in the beginning. I just left it. So you're going to want to go to payoff plan and then debt snowball table. And then this gives you a table of all of the payments that you're going to make. And this is my total amount that I pay each month towards my debt, snowball plus minimum payments. And this just goes through every payment that you have, and it tells me that by December 2022, I will have my last payment. I will be debt-free. Actually, November 2022, I will be debt-free. So, this says payments already made for the current month are shown in blue. I put 0 because I started technically for November, so that's why these all say 0. I did make this total payment, but this all says 0 for right now. So I had downloaded this as an Excel spreadsheet, and then what I did was I just deleted these columns because I didn't need them, and I just printed it out on a piece of cardstock and cut around the edges of the cardstock, or around the edges of the table that I printed. I just told it to print, like shrink it to fit on one page, and then I just cut it out with a ruler and an X-Acto blade. And that's the little card that I keep in the pocket of my new budget planner in the back. So as I make payments, I'm going to color in these fields, or these little squares that popped out on the Excel sheet that I printed out. So this is, really easy to use. It was kind of self-intuitive to figure out, or self-explanatory, I'm sorry. Really wasn't that difficult. I haven't really gone through all of these different options. I'm sure there's a ton of cool things that you could utilize, but I was just really interested in this table scenario because I actually have a similar table here with all my payments. But of course, there's always an element of human error when it comes to setting this kind of stuff up. So I wanted a system that would do it, and I heard about this on someone else's YouTube channel, and I thought it would be perfect, and it is. And that way you can go in, and I believe that you can add in extra payments. So if you make an extra payment, I'm not quite sure where it is. Oh, here it is. So you can make extra payments here. But you can add in, I think they're called snowflake payments. So I think they're called snowflake payments. But you can go in and add extra payments to these, and it'll adjust the amount that show up here. So it'll just readjust the whole table. If you put in that you made maybe a double payment in December because you got a Christmas bonus or something, it'll adjust the whole table down. So anytime I do that, I'll just be able to reprint this whole table, and then I won't have to worry about making a new table by hand and having to redo everything and having to rewrite all the numbers. It just does it for me automatically. So if you'll notice here, I don't have this set on Debt Snowball. I have it set on Debt Avalanche. That is because I wanted to pay this first, and the amount would fit, I think, between this debt and this debt. It would be here, but I didn't want to pay these two off first. I wanted to pay this one off first because this is such a high interest rate. It just didn't make sense to me. These two are collections accounts from old things that had gone into collections a while back, and I'm working on cleaning up my credit score and stuff. So I don't think these have interest. I think I'm just paying the debts off. They're not accruing anything, so it didn't make sense to me, to pay this one off and then this one and then my Capital One card. So that's why I decided to do it that way. And because none of these have interest rates in the system, even if I click Debt Avalanche, it does this one first because I put an interest rate for this. But then the rest of these just go in Debt Snowball order. So that worked out perfect for me. So I can get rid of this first. So that's the Snowball Tracker sheet. So then the last thing that I'm going to go over in this video, and I know people had asked for it in my other video, was how I do my breakdown cheat sheets that I show in my cash envelope stuffing videos. And what I do is, this is my my raw file here in Adobe Illustrator. I design these in InDesign, and then I just bring them in here to print, and then I run them through my my Silhouette machine to cut the lines. But these lines you can also cut out with an X-Acto. So these are my breakdowns. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. So I have 3 different pay periods. I have a 10-day, 11-day, and a 12-day. So from this Airtable tracker with my budget, I figured out how much I have for the, I don't know why I can't word tonight, my cash envelopes and my my sinking funds. So these are $300 each. So my sinking funds are $300 for 11, $300 for 12, and $280 for 10, just because this is a smaller paycheck. So I just kind of lopped off $20. I don't show it in my budget thing over here, but that's just because it's only $20, and I'm not going to make a ton of different lines here for just this one pay period. So I show my $100 digital spend. I put my cash envelopes, which are always the same. It's always $220, $100 spend, $100 groceries, and $20 for gas every pay period, regardless of how many days. And then my sinking funds. And then I do my breakdown of my sinking funds dependent upon how many days. So I believe the 11 and 12 are exactly the same. And then this one's the only different one yet. So I took out anything that wasn't, realistic. I think the Chevelle actually is the only one that's out of here. Yeah, the $20 for the Chevelle fund. Beyond that, these are exactly the same. I've been kind of messing around with the sinking funds just because I'm new to the Dave Ramsey cash envelope system. I'm just trying to get a feel for it. So for now, this is my average, but these might change depending upon, again, the 10, 11, or 12 day. I kind of got to settle in and see if maybe it's too much or too little, and then I'll go from there. So one of the things that I wanted to go over real quick with how I come up with these numbers for the sinking funds, what I do is I take the amount of money that I get each paycheck, my total gross paycheck, and then I subtract the $1,600 that I have set aside for bills, and then the rest of that money goes into my spend account, like I said. So I subtract the money that I'm going to need for groceries, the money that I'm going to need for gas, and then my spend budget. And then the amount that's left over is the amount that I use for my sinking funds. So for my 11 and 12 day, I decided on $300. And then I have $280 for the 10 day, just because I don't have enough in my income to cover that extra $20. But if you'll notice, the 11 and 12 day have a little extra in them at the bottom, and that's just extra money that I'm going to throw into either my debt snowball or my savings, depending on how I'm feeling that week. And then I have my cash breakdown here. This just goes over which bills that I need from the bank. And then I just take this sheet with me. I show the laminated versions of these in my cash envelope stuffing videos. All I do is print these out, cut them. I actually print mine on sticker paper, which might sound strange, but if I print them on sticker paper and I do the lamination, I actually just stick the sticker paper to the laminate sheets, and it really helps keep them from shifting when I stick them through the laminator. And because the sticker paper is thinner than cardstock, they actually laminate a little bit more nicely. And then I just cut them out with a trimmer, like a paper trimmer. But yeah, so I actually have created a freebie version that I will be linking in the description box below. You guys can print these out and use them. You can handwrite the cash envelopes and the sinking funds and then your cash breakdown. And you can either handwrite them before you laminate them, or you can handwrite them after. So if you wanted to laminate these as a blank sheet and then handwrite these in and then change them each time, you could do that. I do recognize that some people might have a lot more cash envelopes and sinking funds in this. I guess you could just use front and back. Maybe I'll make some alternatives so that you could print front and back, so it would be cash envelopes on one side and sinking funds on the other side, and then you'd be able to write as many as you could fit on the whole thing and use both sides of the page rather than just one side. But yeah, so that's going to be it for tonight. I hope that helps give you a little bit of insight into my budget. And of course, the first time that I do a full budget with me video, I will go through all of this for you guys again. But that's essentially my budget. Hope it made sense. I will see you guys next time. Have a great night. Bye!